StockMatter.com. I'm Brian Johnson, and kind of a wandering day, as we would expect. Everything finishing almost break even. S&P, Nas down just a teeny bit, Dow up just a teeny bit. So overall, not really a whole lot to talk about, as we would expect. First, really wasn't even a lot of movement in the first couple hours of the day, but towards the middle of the day, slowed down, tiny bit of a pullback, and then only to kind of come right back towards center at the end of it. And you can see it all play out right here as we wandered sideways for most of the day, touching the green 20 period moving average, and then retracing from there, coming back up to right around the 11,550-ish area, which we've been kind of working on on the Dow. And on the daily, you can also see that it just kind of small, tiny candles to the upside. Much of what we saw back here, exactly what I've been talking about for the last few days. And of course, if we just go ahead and dive over to the diamonds, this is an ETF that reflects the Dow. You can see the volume coming out of it the last 3 days. We got about the same volume as what we had yesterday, but overall very, very, very small volume. Everybody gets ready for Christmas. So, as we see here, let's go back to the Dow Daily. Still creeping up, and still staying above this 11,450-ish area. That's going to be one of the more major levels to watch coming into next week. Overall, for the week, as a week wrap-up, what do we have? We have the red candle here on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, creeping up. Not much, guys. We worked our way up about 120 points in the course of 4 days of trading. So, as I've been saying for quite a while, I don't have a lot of interest in going long the market right now with buying stocks or ETFs or options or any of that. There's not a whole lot of movement right now. Very, very stretched to the upside. I'd rather wait for that pullback before I start making any more major decisions on further moves to the upside. So it is what it is. For the week, we had a little bit of a push up, 120 points to the upside. NASDAQ showing us the same type of thing. Now, it was down today. The NASDAQ 100 was once again weaker than the NASDAQ Composite and weaker than the other three indices. As you can see, it pulled back ever so slightly. This isn't a major pullback by any means. Nothing is broken here from a bull side. We're still stuck in what is really just kind of a little channel to the upside. Really want to watch breaks further to the downside in the 2215 to 2200 area on the NASDAQ for the week. You can see it, though, still even up ever so slightly. Not a huge move by any means at all. We had this little move here on Monday. 2, 3, and day 4 is right here today. So you can see that while the Dow was up every day, NASDAQ not up every day. Starting to show a little bit of weakness coming into Christmas, which is actually not unexpected. Now, we still could have a little bit of a push to the upside left, but I think once again we're getting into that whole last gasp type area where there just isn't going to be a lot of upwards momentum left in this thing. From a weekly, you can see us creep up. I said this candle would finish similar to what we saw yesterday in a little tiny small doji type candle. It's precisely what we got today. A little bit of covering, I think, towards the end of the day as people came into a 3-day weekend and did not want to hold over the weekend. So they got out of some of their long positions, moving the prices down ever so slightly. But for the week, still up 12 points. 12 whopping points in 4 days. Just not a lot of movement. Break that down to 3 points a day and you can see, big deal. Just not a lot to even talk about. SPX 60-minute doing the same thing, pulling back in the afternoon here, only to kind of try to rebound towards the end of the day, finishing at 12.56. And we talked about moves up over 12.50 and 12.55. Anything over 12.55 got you about 6 points for the week. Anything over 12.50 was about 6 points. Anything over 12.55, a point, 2 points. This is why I say I'm not real sold on the upside right now. I don't. It's 1 or 2 points at a time. It's not exactly, ripping through any major areas of support or resistance at this point. So everybody's getting ready for Christmas, obviously. Weekly or daily on the SPX, same thing. Up for the week here, so slightly resting right up here around that 1255-ish area. Any further pushes, I'm watching that 1260, 1270-ish area if it wants to get that high from a weekly perspective too. Looks very good. Still finished with a nice decent-sized white candle, but not bad at all. Volume little to nothing. As I said, it's a 4-day week. It's Christmas. We're just going to kind of ignore the volume on this week's movement because there just isn't much to talk about. I mean, you guys can say, yeah, it's up, but look at the volume. Well, yeah, but this is true of just about every holiday week you get. 4th of July can get like this, Thanksgiving, and especially Christmas. Go back and look at a lot of the previous Christmases. You'll find that they're a lot like this right here. There's just not a lot of volume. Nobody's making any big moves until the end of the year. However, Elliott Wave standpoint 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how much more clean it can get than that. I mean, I really think that's really clean. Doesn't mean that we have to stop here, obviously. We have fulfilled what we need to from an Elliott Wave 5 wave type of move, so it can turn at any point. Could be next week, could be 3 weeks from now. We do not know. Point being, pattern is kind of full right now, so we have kind of completed what we needed to complete and still trying to work our way upwards. VIX on a daily was also up, so here you go with, well, I guess it wasn't a divergence day, I shouldn't say that. However, it did rebound hard off of this lower level. It was back up today 6.6%. So hanging within this pattern we've been watching for a while from a weekly standpoint. Also within this pattern we've been watching. Notice how it came down to retest this blue line as it did last week and close back in. Touch the blue line again this week, close back in. So this lower line is holding pretty well down here, and any further movement to the upside may drag this down. Now that we've cleared room again this week, we've got a little bit more room to the downside if the VIX wants to drop. Point being, there's no fear here, guys. Nobody is in any kind of worry over where the markets are going at this point. Apple was down today, $1.50, but you can see it coming off the 325 area here. So 318 was the area we were watching here. Out of the triangle, I said watch that 318 for a break. We never got it. Then it moved up from that point forward, only to pull back today. Still not any major moves coming within Apple. However, all the moves are still in the general direction of up. So Apple's still doing just fine. It's not ready to break down quite yet, it doesn't appear, as it hangs out and has made a new high up here at 325, almost 326. From a weekly, you can also see it just staying above here. The bigger pictures are nice in this standpoint because it shows you that while on a daily you might look at it and go, wow, no, that was a good move in Apple. Yeah, well, and then you look at the weekly and go, yeah, we didn't really go anywhere. Still consolidating. Now, it is still above this 320-ish area that we've been watching for a while, and as long as it stays there, still bullish to me. So we'll see if Apple finally decides to turn itself around. But those areas to watch are going to be 320, 315, and then maybe down around 300 or so before we start to really get any kind of panic working into Apple. For those of you that have been in it for a long time, longer-term investors, yeah, it's been rough going here. But you know what? Stay with it. Stay with it. Just watch for these drops back below these lower areas before you start thinking about taking your profits. But as it is right now, as long as Apple stays up here and sideways, the bulls are still in control. FAS on a 60-minute also pulled back today, but it is just a pullback. That's all it was. Nothing major, nothing drastic, nothing quick. Just a nice, easy pullback in FAS. Looks like it could be setting up for another run to the upside. From a daily, came back to just retest this area. So it ran up into it. Here we saw it break it and pull back down. Here we saw it touch it, pull back down. This time, how do you beat it? Well, if you can't break it, then you just gap it. And that's exactly what we saw yesterday. Gapped above, came back to retest. As long as this holds, still good to the upside on FAS. Certainly something we'll be watching coming into next week. Here was FAZ breaking out of this bear flag. This was perfect TA from here. Below 10, we had a couple of other really good entries to get in on this thing. Below 10, below 970 were all really good entries. Made you some money this week. Here's the pullback. That's all it is right now. Just another pullback. So, coming into next week, we'll be watching for these lower levels to go. From a daily perspective too, same thing. You see it just consolidating here. Now, yes, this could be a potential reversal candle. Some of you may recognize that would be a bullish harami. But we got to have confirmation. Low volume week. It's Christmas. Not a lot of people trading, so it's really anybody's call at this point. We got to wait for confirmation on these things before we know for sure whether they are bearish or bullish. Okay, that'll do it for the wrap up of this week, guys. Kind of played out exactly as planned. I told you in the weekend video that we would probably see trading Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not much into Thursday, and the volume would drop off most every day, and that's about what we saw. It's pretty commonplace for this time of year. And the bulls won. overall, I had to be neutral to bullish coming into Christmas because that's the direction that it usually goes. We were very overextended and it could have gone either way, but I always have to remain neutral to bullish coming into Christmas because it's Christmas and everything worked out exactly as would be planned. So for the week overall, not a big move, nothing major. Wasn't expecting necessarily anything major one way or the other. Even if it went down, I wasn't expecting anything major. Now next week we could see the movement come back. We'll slowly start to see the buyers and the sellers come back into the market. Big money returns next week. Don't know if they'll make a decision before the end of the year, so we still might see a couple of good trading days, but nothing major. And then coming into January is obviously where we'll point our attention on the bigger move standpoint. Okay, see you guys Sunday. Have a blessed Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you guys enjoy it with your family. I hope you get everything you asked for Christmas. And we will see you again on Sunday. Bye.